I'm going to be reposting some videos I did concerning the two witnesses, Isreal and the latter-day rain. And there's so many Christians that believe that everyone who ever said yes to Jesus is going to be raptured before the tribulation. I believe there is a pre-tribulation rapture of those ready, waiting, and watching, that God is called and prepared for that. There's a mid-tribulation rapture. At the same time, the two witnesses are caught up. And then those Jews that get saved during the tribulation, they have to be changed at the end of the tribulation. But if there's any two people on earth that would deserve to be caught up in the pre-tribulation rapture, if everyone who believes in the Lord is caught up then, if that's true, if there's any two people on earth that deserve to be caught up in the pre-tribulation rapture, it's them. But they're not going to be caught up in the pre-tribulation rapture because God has a purpose for them. And they're going to fulfill God's purpose. And that should be our only desire for what God has called us to, for what God has prepared us for. I just went through those messages on Lot's wife and looking back. And so many people have their heart in the world, their love in the world, their desire is in the world. They have so many things that would hold them back from the pre-tribulation rapture. Some of them good reasons. They have relatives that aren't saved that depend upon them. They have kids that aren't saved that depend upon them. They have those that they worry about and care about. And some just love the world and the things of the world. They're not prepared. But if there's any two people that are prepared, it's the two witnesses. And if you believe that the tribulation is going to start in the next weeks, months, years, even the next 20, 30, possibly 40 years, if you believe that, then the two witnesses are on earth now. And if you believe, as I do, that the pre-tribulation rapture is relatively soon and the tribulation is relatively soon, those two witnesses are on earth. They're in Isreal and they're being prepared for what God has called them for. And in their work, that work of Christ and the cross and resurrection life and being caught up into heaven will be worked out in those two witnesses. And they will have that life of Christ worked out in them. And through the preaching, teaching, death, resurrection, and rapture of the two witnesses, through that work, Isreal will have her blinded eyes open, and she will see that Yeshua, the Son of the living God, is the true Messiah. And they will turn to him, and the Antichrist will come after them. But I just wanted to say first, before I repost these other messages, I'm not trying to have content for a YouTube channel. I'm trying to share and get out to more and more people what God has shared with my wife and I. And I want you to know that if there's anybody that's on earth now and ready and prepared and should go in the pre-tribulation rapture if everyone goes, it's the two witnesses. But they're not. They're going to be here during the trying times of the tribulation. They're going to be martyred. They're going to be killed. But the breath of life from God is going to come back into them. And they're going to be caught up into heaven. And Israel's blinded eyes, which has been blinded for 2,000 years now, that Yeshua was their Messiah, their eyes will be opened through that preaching, teaching, death, resurrection, and rapture of the two witnesses. But as we go on reposting these old messages concerning Isreal, the two witnesses, the latter-day rain, the rapture and the pre-tribulation rapture, the tribulation, as we repost those messages, I want you to understand, God has prepared a people for the pre-tribulation rapture. It's the few, it's the remnant. Only they will come out of Babylon freely and on their own free will. The rest will go into the tribulation. And they'll get prepared. They'll get ready. They'll get dressed for the marriage supper of the Lamb. But if there's any two people on earth right now that deserve to go in the pre-tribulation rapture. It's the two witnesses, but they're not. They're going to be on earth and do that work. Let that work of Christ be brought forth through their life, through their preaching, teaching, death, resurrection, and rapture. They'll fulfill the purpose of God in them. And as we go on, see, hear, pass on these messages about the two witnesses and the pre-tribulation rapture,